Hi, using Figma Prototypes, let's simulate a photo scanning type situation where you are pointing your camera at something, you click on a picture, and then it scans the image for information. So let's go. So here's my flow. And if I click the little camera button, I get a zoop, and then I get these identifying marks. So let's go make it. I'm going to start with a new page. I'm going to grab this just to save time and go here. So first I want my photo page. So this is basically if my camera was looking at a photo, and I want to add a little camera button. So I'm going to click the letter O to use the oval tool, and I'm going to hold down Option and Shift to make a circle. Then I'm in Prototype, so I'm going to switch back to Design tab. And for my fill, I'm going to say none. And I'm going to give it a stroke of maybe 10 pixels, 12. We'll do 12. 12 pixels. And then I want another circle inside this. So I'm just going to copy and paste this one. And then if I hold down Option and Shift while I'm dragging, I can kind of like shrink it into the middle. Then I'm going to turn the fill back on, and I'm going to turn off the stroke. For fill, let's do a little bit of a gradient. So right now I'm in solid color fill. If I go to gradient, then I can choose, this one will be black. I think that's black down there. Yep. And then I just want it to be really subtle. So I'm going to change this one to like almost black. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, pretty good. Okay. Good, good, good. Now that I have this, I want to group them together because I want it to be one button. So I shift clicked on both objects, and I'm going to right click and say group selection. And I'm going to call this one camera button. Groovy. And let's make sure it's centered. There's that red line. I'm going to put it right about here. Cool. And then just one quick thing. This is just a regular frame. So if I let's make another one for the overlay. If I hit the F key, or I click on this little frame thing, then this little menu pops up and you have lots to choose from here. I am choosing iPhone 16 Pro Max for this design. So I'm going to put this guy here. This one is going to be called the identifier overlay. Cool. While we're at it, let's just make another copy. Drag this down. This is going to be like the scanner overlay. Scan overlay. Cool. So let's see. Button is done. Let's work on the scan. So here is my frame, and I'm going to give this, instead of a solid fill, also a gradient, but I'm going to have this part of the gradient. I'm changing it to white. It doesn't actually matter because I'm going to make it invisible, but just makes me feel better. So I'm going to have 0 opacity on the bottom of it, and then the top one, let's do somewhere around 60 or 70, not 600, 60. And then I'm actually going to pull this stop up so that the scan isn't the full height of the window. Cool, that seems okay. And now I also want to add a stroke, but only to the top. So if I click stroke, it's going to default to giving me 4 lines all around. But if I click on this little icon that looks like a double bordered stroke, I can choose which sides I want. I can make it custom. I can do one side or all sides. So I'm going to say top. And then I'm going to change this to white as well. I always have these off-white, so I just would rather just use F because then I don't have to do it twice. Cool. So there's our scan. Let's get that wired up. I'm going to hit the button. Going to go to Prototype, and I'm going to add an interaction. On click, I want this to open an overlay. I named it Scan Overlay. So Svan, close enough, Svan Overlay. And I want it to move in. So you have options of just instantly, it'll just sort of draw on top without any dissolve. You can dissolve it in, or you can move it in from multiple directions. So I'm going to say move in. It defaults to from the left to the right. I'm going to say I want it to move in from the bottom. And I'm going to try 800 milliseconds. And I kind of like ease in and out on this one. So it starts a little bit slow, has normal speed, and then slows down at the end. And let's see, I think that's all we need right now for this one. So let's try it out. Since I added a prototype interaction, it's guessing that this wants to be a flow. One more thing that we should do is that we can make sure so I have this flow selected. I'm going to say show prototype settings, and I'm going to choose a device. My frame is 16 Pro Max. If you forget what you chose as your frame, you can always click on your frames and look in the design at the size of them. So 440 by 956. So if I go back to prototype mode and I choose prototype settings, I can find it. So 440 by 956, and there it is. So that's another way if you forget, because otherwise you'll have kind of funky scrolling if it's not quite the right size. So let's try this. I'm going to hit Shift Space to preview it in a small window. This button is your prototype button. However, you have a couple options. You can do the full present mode, which is Option Command Return, or you can do a little preview window, which is Shift Space. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to use the key commands. I could just choose it here, but if you choose it, then it's nice. You hit play and it'll always do preview. Right now it just defaults to present, and I like to have both at my fingertips. So Shift Space, and then let's try our scan. Okay, looks awesome so far. The line's a little thick. That's okay. Cool. So that's part one. Let's do the identifying marks. And I think the easiest way to do this is to actually just put this on top of the other frame. So it hasn't popped in, which is great. It's on top, and I'm going to give it no fill. And then I'm going to make a bunch of rectangles. So I'm going to use the R tool to choose the rectangle tool. You can see all the key commands here. So L is line, Shift L is arrow, which is a nice one. I didn't actually know that one. O is ellipse, and R is rectangle. And some of them don't have key commands. Okay, so, oops, didn't mean to do that. Whatever. R, let's do an ear. And then R again, let's do a nose. And R again, and we'll do an antler. I want it a little bit off to the side, so I might just do something like that. Okay, let's style these with just plain old white borders first. So no fill, a stroke of maybe 8. I don't know. Maybe 12 is the number for today. A little thick, but that's fine. And we want to change the stroke to white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 Fs make a white. And then we want to curve the corners. So this little icon in appearance is the corner tool. And I'm going to give them a number of 40 pixels for corners. Seems pretty good. Just a quick thing, if you are not getting these labels for all of the tools, if you go up to the top here to where you have your view percentage, right next to it, there's that little arrow. I guess it's the same thing, but you can select property labels, and that will show you all those labels. I kind of wish it was default, but just know that that's there. Awesome. So now I'm going to draw squares where I want to erase. So I'm going to get the rectangle tool again. I'm going to make a rectangle here. I'm going to make sure it centers. So I have that red line telling me that it's centered. I'm going to Option Shift drag one up here. Then the sides are pretty different, so I'll just make a new rectangle. So letter R on the keyboard. I need to move this up a little. So where's the middle? There you are. Okay, middle. That's okay. and then Option Shift to the other side. They don't have to be perfectly centered right and left. And then I want to choose all the rectangles. So I'm going to Shift click all around. So this is already selected. Shift click this one, Shift click that one, Shift click that one. And then I want to click on the rounded rectangle. And then I'm going to go over here to the union tool. And instead of union, I'm going to say subtract. And because these rectangles are on top of our rounded box, it's going to erase part of that box. So I'm going to click that. And then we get this nice focus tool. Kind of wish those were longer, but whatever. We're going to keep going. Rectangle tool again. And we just repeat. Lather, rinse, repeat. Maybe a little bit smaller. Center it. Option Shift drag it. Option drag. Maybe a little bit taller. Make sure it's centered. Option Shift drag. So Shift keeps it like in line, and Option makes a copy. Cool. So Shift click, Shift click, Shift click, and then Shift click, and subtract. And then one more. Rectangle tool, the letter R, make sure it's centered. Option Shift drag, and then Option drag. It needs to be taller. Make sure it's centered. Option Shift drag. Shift click, Shift click, Shift click, Shift click. Union tool, subtract. The key command is Option Shift S. That's a good one to know. Cool. And I think we have all of them now. So I want to make sure I'm going to move this back over. I just wanted to kind of place them where I wanted them, but for organization's sake, I want this frame to be over to the right. And cool, identifier overlay. So when we hit the button, this plays, and then we want this to go away. So if you remember, it just kind of sticks there. Shift space. So if I click this, it scans up and then it just stays there. So we're going to have to close it. So I'm going to go to this one and I'm going to say after delay, make this go away. So our trigger will be after delay. Let's see. It takes 800 milliseconds to play it. I'm going to leave this at 800 milliseconds. And then I want to close this overlay. And now I can add a second interaction for this trigger. So each trigger has a little interaction window like this. So on tap, on drag. If it's a desktop app, it will say on click instead. But I'm working on the delay and I want a second one to happen after this delay. So I'm going to click on this little plus and I can add another interaction, which will be to open the other overlay. So now I get this cool bigger window because there's multiple interactions. And I'm going to say open the identifier. This is why it's so important to name your frames. And this one, I want to just dissolve in. I don't want it to just pop in immediately. I don't want to move it in from the right or left or bottom or whatever. I want it to just dissolve in fairly quickly. I'm really into ease in out right now. So start slow, normal speed, and then end slow. And I think that is it. So that will put the identifiers on top. Let's see if I did this right. Shift space. Okay, ready? Hit the photo scan. It scans. A little bit of a delay, and then it shows the identifiers. So one more thing I want to add is that the white is not really popping on that photo, and it would be nice if I could just fade out the photo a little bit so that the white popped a little bit more. So let's do that. This is where we're opening that other overlay. So let's click that again. So when I open the overlay, I want there to be a background. So basically it'll kind of like fade. It'll put a fade on the background a little bit. So it's black, but it's only 25% black. That'll just kind of like dull it down a little bit so the white pops a little bit more. I think that's all I wanted to change. The close overlay on 800 seems a little slow, but whatever. Let's check and see what this animation timing is. Yeah, 800. Yeah. Okay, let's try it out and see if that's better. Hit the camera button, scan, and then we get a slightly grayed out background and makes the identifiers pop. So what you could do after this is click on this one, and maybe we have another page that is like, oops, close you. Maybe this page would be, I'll just make a new frame, Pro Max, and then we'll have like a rectangle that has the photo of that that dude. I'm just going to copy him. Maybe I'll just do Command Shift K. Yay. Okay. Downloads. This guy, I think. No, I just imported a video. That's not what I wanted to do. Command Shift K. This one. That's not right either. Whatever. We'll pretend it's this one. Oh, yeah. That's not it at all. Oh, silly. Yeah. I want this. I'm going to just copy it. Cut. Paste to replace. Not even what I want to do. Command Z. This is all going horribly wrong. Design. Fill with an image. Make it a crop instead of. And then I can crop the image if it can get out of my way. So if I hold down Shift, it will stay in proportion. Oh my gosh. This was going so well. There's my box. Yes, okay. So the blue things are the box adjustment, and then I can click on the image itself and center it. That seems fine. I could shrink it down a little, but if you shrink it from the corner and hold down Shift, it will be aspect, keep the aspect ratio. Cool. So maybe this is, whatever, antelope identified. We'll call it Samson the antelope, because I don't know what kind of antelope he is. Okay. Make it bold. There's Samson the antelope. So anyway, it could be like a details page. So we would go here to this one and we would say after a delay. So new interaction after a delay, maybe just of like we'll do 500 milliseconds. Then close the overlay and then plus. So another thing after the delay is we want to navigate to, I didn't change the name, so it's a terrible name, but I'm going to navigate to it and I'll just dissolve in. After 300 seconds. Let's change this name. We'll just call it details. Cool. Let's try it all. Shift space, hit the button, scan, identifiers show up, and then it goes here. So a little bit too fast to the details page. Also, that is not centered. So many things, but you get the general gist. All right. Thanks very much.